Hi, this is Zibby Owens, and you're listening to the award-winning podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. I'm also the host of Moms Don't Have Time to Lose Weight, and I'm the editor of the anthology, which you should run out and buy, called Moms Don't Have Time to, a Quarantine Anthology. All proceeds of that book go to COVID-19 vaccine research. And I'm the editor-in-chief of Moms Don't Have Time to Write, a new publication on Medium, and we're accepting submissions, so please send your personal essays there. And if all that isn't enough, you can follow me on Instagram at Zibby Owens, and my website is zibbyowens.com. Okay, now back to this amazing podcast. Today is the last day of my official book blast, and these did not fit into any neat categories, but they were still here, so I'm putting them all together. We have one thriller, one story, and one travel book, so I am calling this Thriller, Travel, and Tales. Enjoy this last day. I hope you've had fun following along on the book blast, where I've released multiple episodes a day. Sometimes I do this when I don't schedule properly and I have too many at a time. So I hope that you have found in the last 12 days or something, books and episodes that spoke to you. I hope you've ordered some of the books and enjoyed, and keep listening because I'll have an episode, at least one episode a day all summer long. Jen Spyra is the author of Big Time Stories. Jen is a writer and performer. You may have seen her stuff on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where she was a staff writer for 4 seasons. Before that, she was a senior writer for The Onion, where she also headed the editorial video department as a writer, director, and producer. Her debut short story collection, Big Time, is published by Random House. Beyond The Onion, her writing has appeared in The New Yorker, The New York Times, McSweeney's, The Wall Street Journal, The Daily Beast, and elsewhere. As an improviser, she's performed on teams at I.O. Chicago, I.O. LA, and at UCB in New York. She voiced the character of Hillary Clinton on Showtime's Our Cartoon President and is the announcer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for coming on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books to discuss Big Time Stories.
Oh my God, Zibby, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be folded in some way into the empire.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say. Into the empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Okay, your stories, you are funny, you are dark, you are like, your mind goes to these crazy places. I was reading, I was like, oh, she is interesting. Let me talk to her. Oh my gosh. Tell me about writing these stories. Oh my gosh. How did this all even happen?
Oh my God. Okay. First of all, thank you so much. That is awesome to hear. I mean, it happened because I've been on comedy staffs for the past 7 years. First 3 years at The Onion and then 4 years at Colbert and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And I mean, during that time, my kind of like fun hobby and the way that I felt like I could cope with the daily rejection of those jobs was to do my own stuff where no one could tell me no, and where I could be the boss and also explore things that weren't necessarily appropriate for the editorial voice of wherever I was working. And so these were the book started as I started writing these 1-pager funny stories for the New Yorker in their Shouts and Murmurs column, which, made me feel so fancy. And I mean, I tried to do, I had 8 years of rejection before they took one of them. So, I mean, there was a lot of that. And then I, on my own, just started to, in the teeniest little segments, I was doing 1-pagers, and then I did a 5-page story, and then a 7-page story. Can I do a 10-pager? Can I do a 20-pager? And then the last story is a novella, and it's 100. And so that was, there was so much learning on the fly about fiction and about prose, because I have written, so many sketches and monologue jokes and monologues, and all of the stuff that you have to include in a story for pacing, for breathing for the reader, that's all stuff that I was trained never to include, because it's all fact in the old stuff I used to write. So getting to include that was the real learning. But anywho, in terms of where it's all coming from, it was really fun to write things that were not TV friendly.
But like, so I feel like the beginnings of most of your stories start off on like, traditional, right? Like, okay, a bride wants to get ready for her big day, and oh, I treat my first kid different than my second kid, or I'm in the backyard building a snowman, or like all these things I'm doing seem okay. And then next thing you know, like a page or two in, you're like, oh, wait, what?
Oh my
What's
God.
happening now? Like the bride is stuck in some horrific, like, I don't even know, cult world in a cave.
Yes.
And, the daughter is like, I mean, it's like crazy. So I love this sense of imagination that you have that like veers off. Like, so I guess I understand your background and all of that, but like when you start to go off in these funny ways, is that just like the way your brain kind of works when you think about funny situations? Or is it like a not shock, but like just explain that, like when those turning points happen in all your stories pretty much.
Yes. Okay. That's such a good question. And it's all of those very silly, whimsical, fantastical, and then often dark turns. They're so rooted in real experiences that I've had that have then generated these very real, relatable emotions, anger, jealousy, anxiety. And then so the stories all start like the bridal body story, which is about a bride who wants to get hot for her wedding day. So that was just like me. I just fell into that trap really hard. I ended up spending so much time focusing on, like, it was almost like a game I was playing with myself where I was like, okay, how far can I take this? How hot can I get in my life? And then the absurdity of what I was doing and how beside the point it was for the actual wedding, that started to strike me as funny. And then I started just doing these thought experiments of, gee, like how far could it go? Could I get so hot that I would be so hot that the only guys left in my league would be Timothy Chalamet and The Rock? And it would render my wedding not even necessary. And so thoughts like that started to like pop up as I was like, gee, I'm wasting so much time on all these just like exercise classes and various treatments. And so then, and I also wanted to wring some creative success out of all that wasted time that outside of work, I was doing all this other stuff. And I was like, I better get some freaking copy out of all this time I'm wasting. And then for the first kid, second kid, it's funny because everyone thinks that I'm the second kid, but I was the daughter with the canopy bed. I was the first kid. And just thinking about all the ways that my sister the attention that she didn't get and the attention that I love so much. And if I didn't get that, what would I have been? I would have been a monster. So they actually, as crazy as they get, they usually start from like, places of empathy and places that I've been.
Yes. And that so many of us have been. I mean, I was even like, I feel like I did like an hour and a half yoga class like the morning of my wedding. And I remember like walking through the park and being like, oh, the only one is like the exhale on Central Park South. I have to go to like that particular studio.
I know that exhale.
Or like, and then I like ran to Weight Watchers and I was like, now I have to weigh in and like, oh no, I'm like a pound higher. And like, I was so in my head at that time about that.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Sleeping.
I was not sleeping. I love that you said you went to Weight Watchers right before. Oh my God. I mean, I've done Weight Watchers since I'm 12 for different, oh God, I love Weight Watchers. But yeah, no, I remember, it's funny. I remember doing my like last like arm, exercises the morning of and just being like, oh, there's nothing else I can do. Like looking in the mirror and being like, oh, all right, that's it. Cause there's nothing else. It's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, then we're all setting ourselves up for these unrealistic, like, I mean, I'm never going to go back to that, like,
oh God. Oh my God.
Not to mention that I was like 20 something, like really, like, I don't know. It's like.
Totally. No, it's definitely a besides the point game. And I've been so impressed with friends who buy their wedding dress a year before. They have no thought of their goal weight. They're just like, oh, this one looks good. And I'm like, that was not how I did it.
I have to say, not to talk about me, but for my second wedding, I got a chance to do it all better, quote unquote. And I was much older. I had 4 kids. I was like, okay, this wedding is about our relationship. It has nothing to do with, and I literally was like, I'm not going to try to lose weight for this wedding. Like, this is who I am. And like, I bought a dress that fit that day and okay. But like, I had to be I was like 40 years old by the time I figured that out. So
wow, that's so freaking cool though.
but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, point is, I could completely relate to that essay or not essay, sorry, story.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And like, you're so funny too with your voices, like the Uncle Mickey or whoever with the snowman. And like, who are these people? It's crazy.
You are so right. Actually, that one, and sidebar, the actor that reads that in the audiobook is Dan Stevens. He's this British, he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. He reads all these fancy audiobooks. He does the Agatha Christie estate. He does the Ian Fleming estate, the Roald Dahl. And anyway, his New Jersey accent was hilarious. That is really honestly, my mom and my dad are like from two different worlds. My mom is like from this sort of like sophisticated Jewish world in Pittsburgh. And my dad is also from Pittsburgh, but it's literally the other side of the tracks. And he was a Polish Catholic, and they just really, and my dad's a lawyer, but he has all these friends and workers, and I've grown up around these guys. And so they're just one of those guys to me. I mean, I know I made it in New Jersey, but I think of these things in like Pittsburgh accents and these weird Pittsburgh cities.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, what you said about like having something to the side, I was just with Liz Astroff, who I became friends with after she was on my podcast like 2 years ago or something. She wrote this hilarious book, and she's a screenwriter and a TV writer and everything. And she's like, I write essays because like there doesn't have to be any input and I can do what I want. And like,
God.
So I feel like you guys should meet because you
that's so cool that she had that she also came from the TV work or from the screenwriting world. Yeah, I know that I was expecting so much more note giving as I was working with my editors at Random House. I had no idea the kid glove treatment you get. It's super sweet.
And so are you now hooked on books? Like how did you feel?
Oh my God. I am so hooked. What I want to do is just keep doing both and keep doing books on the side and always have it as a valve, because the freedom, once you taste the freedom, it like scrambles your DNA, and it's just, oh my God, it's your fantasy. It's whenever you're on a staff and you always hear no for different good reasons, like, I mean, there's different reasonable reasons why things don't make sense, but for that you want to do, but this was intoxicating. So I want to keep doing this, and then definitely still do TV. And hopefully there will be adaptations of things from the book. And I just would love to write my own ticket more in TV. Mm-hmm. That's the diff.
Yeah. That sounds
yeah. Yeah, it does. It really does. I know. It'd be cool if it could happen. Yeah. So, and I want to be in that room, Zibby. That's actually the only thing I'm really gunning for, is to make that room that you're in and have it be my room. Your room is gorgeous behind you. I'm looking behind you.
I mean, just come on over. I mean, you can.
Oh my God.
Are you in New York, by the way? Where do you?
I'm in New Orleans in a hotel right now. Huh. I am en route back to New York. My husband and I did a crazy thing where we literally just lived in Savannah. When COVID started, we just put our stuff in storage, and we don't know anyone in Savannah, but I needed to finish the book, and I knew that I needed to have space like outside at a cafe to write, because that's how I do it, and it wasn't going to happen in the city. So we're coming back though in a few weeks. So I'm thrilled.
All right. Well, so you can just come and hang out. You don't have to.
Cool. I don't have to. Okay. It doesn't have to be a lifelong, evil project.
Oh so like, what do you like to read? Like, do you like similar kind of dark, like what's your go-to?
Oh my God. I mean, I do it for pleasure, but I also have to do it for comedy stuff. In comedy, you need to constantly be folding in other people's experiences and other worlds and languages. So I'm always reading like historical, high stakes nonfiction so that I can literally give myself new metaphors to use, And so I'm doing that. I was recently reading the David McCullough Johnstown Flood book. It's just really interesting. I mean, so I'm always trying to find those out. For my own fun pleasure, the thing that I wrote is it's funny. I'm thinking of this quote that I love that's so insane from Jaden and Willow Smith, where there was a crazy interview they did where they said that they only read books that they write. I mean, It's like, I know it's so amazing, but it's true that the thing that I wrote is a thing that I would like to read. And so I do read things that are kind of similar. I love Simon Rich's work. I don't know if you've ever, really fun. Oh, what do you have? Yeah.
His new book.
Hits and Misses?
Hold on. Maybe I'm.
Oh, you have his new one, Baby Teeth.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, I forget. Yeah, of course, Zibby. Yeah, you have the,
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't know where it is, but
very
it's right
cool.
here.
Very cool. No, yeah, no, I love his stuff. And actually, I always get recommendations like from the authors I love. I find out the stuff that they love. So I've naturally gravitated to Simon. I love Jack Handey short stories. I recently found Jean Kerr's Please Don't Eat the Daisies. Have you read that?
No.
Oh my God, Zibby, you have to read that because it's
I'll write it down.
No, Zibby, I feel horrible because I am absolutely on the floor. I'm so impressed with your output, how much you read and how much you do. So I feel actually disgusting giving you anything to do, but it's from 1954. There was a Doris Day movie based on it. Jean Kerr was married to Walter Kerr, who was like the big New York theater critic. But anyway, it's a story about, actually, it's about like the tensions of being a mom and also working and writing. And it's from 1954. It's so fresh and modern and funny. I was blown away. But sidebar, Simon is obsessed with Roald Dahl's fiction for adults. And I've just been blowing through them. This is my Uncle Oswald, but Roald Dahl's fiction for adults I found it like 2 months ago. I'm like furious I haven't had it in my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Zibby. Yeah.
So wait, Jen, so how did you become a comedy writer to begin with? Like, how did you get involved with the Stephen Colbert show? And like, how did this all happen?
It's so funny because all of my friends, they were so not like me. And they were like the normal way you get into it, where like as a kid, you're obsessed with late night and comedy and you read about comedy. Oh my God, that wasn't me at all. I never watched late night. I wasn't aware of comedy as a career. I mean, I got the Late Show because I had worked at the Onion. And so I already had been sort of sparked. I had sparked to comedy, but I mean, I did get the break of getting picked out of a slush pile for Colbert, which really was that was the most exhilarating call, the most exhilarating interview with Steve. It was because it kind of felt like it was so the small time that I was in. And then it was like, everything changed in one day and it was so cool and fun. But I know that he was impressed that I'd been at the Onion because he's a fan. I mean, and I was a fan before I was writing there. And then getting the Onion, that was the real like break where it was like, they have a really deep bench of people that they groom. I wasn't on it. I had no friends there. I heard from a friend of a friend, like, here's the application if you want to apply. And I just worked like a dog for 2 weeks on the packet. And I was so scared because I always thought my whole life, oh, I'd be really good at that. But I never tried. And then it was like, well, here's your chance. And as I was doing it, it was such a reckoning because it was like, oh my God, like felt like my identity as a funny person was on the line. Like put your money where your mouth is. You think you're good at this? Okay, well, let's see if you're really good at this. And then amazingly, I did get this lucky break where they let me come on as a fellow. And that was what I was applying for, a fellowship. It's a 6-month audition. That's how they get their new people. Mm-hmm. And then I've never worked harder in my life than I did for that 6 months. and then you get it. And then of course, at the jobs that I've had, there's that part in the beginning where you're just working like a dog. You'll do anything. And then you like notch up your successes, you get your respect. And then when you get to that beautiful coasting area, I mean, I shouldn't say coasting because that sounds like I wasn't really giving it my all, but you just have to work for the respect in the beginning. And that's always hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. That was way too much. That was way too much of it. Oh, okay.
Not at all. I think I agree. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
So what are you working on now? Do you have more stories up your sleeve? Like,
yes. I mean, I'm basically figuring out, it's such a luxurious position that I've really never been in. Like I'm figuring out what I want to work on, and I am not working on the things that I'd rather not work on. And it always feels surreal to me to turn things down when I'm like, I'm 35 now. I started in this like I've been doing this since out of college, and it's in your muscles. You take anything, you know what I mean? Like you just take anything and you build on it. And so I'm at a new place for me. And so I'm sketching out a novel, and I'm trying to keep myself from writing the short stories because I'm now trying. Once I cracked that last story, which is longer, mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, maybe I can like take down the big game. And I was actually just so inspired. I was watching the new Hemingway doc, the PBS Ken Burns, Lynn Novak doc. And there was a point where he was saying like, he'd only written short stories. And he was like, how do you do a novel? Like, can I do that? You know, like, and I mean, because that's how I feel. But I I feel like it was so exciting challenging myself and writing longer ones that I kind of, it's almost like doing another short story collection. It's like, oh, I'd love to see if I could do a bigger boy. So that's what I'm working on. And then TV stuff, I'm working on some early stage adapting things as well.
It sounds awesome.
Zibby, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Oh my gosh, don't be silly. So what advice do you have for aspiring authors?
Oh my God. I love one of your, I forget what you've written this on, but make the time. I only read this book once. There's a book called The War of Art, and the whole thing, you read that?
By Sun Tzu? Is that it? No.
Actually, no, not The Art of War.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm actually slightly dyslexic. I don't know if, no, it's The War of Art. No, exactly. No, Sun Tzu. Actually, sidebar, I was reading The Art of War recently just because it's so it's awesome. I mean, it's crazy. And it's such a specific voice. Anywho, no, The War of Art it's sidebar. You don't even have to read it. I'll tell you, although I don't want to shortchange that author. It's a cool book, but the whole thing is overcoming resistance to literally just sitting down. That's the war. That's it. And so
no, I get it. The war. Yeah.
Yes. And so the advice I would give is really just steep yourself in the stuff that you think is so good that you want to, the stuff that you love, that really entertains you, that you think is so good. Tri-pronged approach. Steep yourself in stuff that's good. Be aware and inspired by all the stuff around you that you think is mediocre. And actually, I think that's then the other thing is just set. I do the Pomodoro thing where I set my 25 minutes on my phone and I just have to write during the 25 minutes. I can't check email. I can look up something that's related to what I'm writing if I need to research, but I just can't. If obviously I want to see any updates on the John Mulaney, Olivia Munn, Anna Marie Tendler thing, I just can't Google anything. I have to do that. So I find that really helpful. But I mean, I think the most inspiring thing if you're starting is even looking at a book and being like, this was published. Do you think this is that good? No, maybe you can do something just as good, at least just as good as that. I find that so inspiring. I know it's it's negative, but I find it really helpful.
No, I don't think it's negative. It's
okay.
Whatever you can use to, put some fire under your, whatever the expression.
You're right. You're so right. Yeah.
I feel like I used to read books and be like, oh, well, I could do that. But then when you sit down and you do it, you're like, oh, well, yeah, it's not that easy.
Oh my God. No, okay, exactly. Because I literally would, whenever I go to a cafe or even if I'm working at home, I will have a book next to me or a few that I love that really inspire me, because I'm I have to even remind myself and physically sometimes pick up the book to be like, someone has written a book, because as I started doing it, I was like, this is not possible. No one's done it. This cannot be done. It felt so. Yeah, it's really hard, as you know. Sidebar, congratulations on the anthology.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jen, it was so nice getting to know you. I hope you'll come over when you're back in town.
Oh, Zibby.
To have author stuff here all the time, and I hope to start that again. So, yeah. And thanks for being so nice.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Oh my God. The author stuff. Wow. That would be so fun. And it'd be fun to see you in any capacity in the city. Thank you for having me, Zibby. I'm so honored to have been on.
Oh my gosh, don't be silly. You deserve it. Your stuff is great. Anyway.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a great day. And thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to read what comes next.
Oh, thank you, Zibby. Ditto.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to part of my June book blast. I hope you enjoy it. Come back tomorrow for more. Thanks for listening to this episode of Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Zibby Owens and at Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Also sign up for my newsletter at zibbyowens.com and sign up for my virtual book club and meet lots of authors on Zoom every other week. Thanks so much to Steve and Ryan at Texture Sound for the sound editing. And thank you to Morning Moon Productions for providing this fantastic intro and outro music.